So one conversation was around early childhood. The other discussion that came up was around the CTE school and developable land in the city. So the question was kind of proposed, well, what if the CTE school went to Booker T? And of course, when he said that, I kind of chuckled because we know that we've had some conversations before about the possibility of the CTE school going to Booker T. But his idea, at least the conversation that we had, was twofold. That if the CTE school went to Booker T. Washington High School, would it also free up future development opportunities in the Lake Taylor footprint that would allow for the work that the city wants to do along the military highway corridor? Could we get a win-win where we would continue with the work of the CTE, still looking at how we would do our balancing as it relates to high school and impact on Lake Taylor, but out of that, would it present a possible opportunity between the eventual total location of the comprehensive CTE school at one site, which we know could free up land at the current Norfolk Technical Center site, and then whatever the board ends up recommending on the Lake Taylor footprint, where we know we currently have Lake Taylor High School and Lake Taylor Middle School? Could that lead to one, continue to have the excellent career and comprehensive technical school that we've been talking about, potentially bring some new revenue to bear that, at least from my perspective, should be dedicated to schools, that could support not only our work with the CTE, but also address some of the other needs that we know we have as a division, have a significant impact on what happens in the St. Paul's area with not only having high quality early childhood education, building upon what we already have, potentially having a impact on a new school or a new type of school in the St. Paul's area, whether that was leveraging existing sites such as Ruffner, or whether or not it resulted in something new. Having the pathway at Booker T. Washington, which could lead to new construction or enhancement at Booker T, which we know we've looked at our facilities index and we know that that's a concern. And then also still tying Booker T into the surrounding area with Norfolk State. And so in theory, really having this significant impact on our work as Norfolk Public Schools and on the city as a whole, but now beginning to see the integration of the success that the city has had over the years in the central business district, now coming across the street into the St. Paul's area and really coming even eastward now towards Booker T and tying into the work around Norfolk State and the greater Broad Creek area. So obviously that conversation prompted a lot of different questions and thoughts. I said to Mr. Johnson at the time, I said, well, one, I have my own personal views about St. Paul's Quadrant, and I hold those strongly. But I think, as wearing my school board hat, that if it's going to be something that's going to advance the goals of the board and fits with the big picture, I would bring it to the board. And I said to him, and I'm definitely not going to get out ahead of the superintendent, because we have asked her and her team to spend so much time and energy on many things that I'm not in a position to commit to anything. But I thought the conversation was a valuable conversation. Since that time, we've had similar conversation with the mayor and the city manager. I don't know where they are today, but because we know this is going to have an impact on conversations that we are going to have anyway as it relates to our operational budget as well as our capital needs. But we had enough of a conversation that they're aware of this possibility. So we know, in addition to what we will talk about today and what we have upcoming in the month of March, we have to deal with our budget and prioritizing, things anyway, whether it deals with our capital needs or our overall needs. But I said I did not think it was possible to not bring this to the board for us to have, at least to begin to process it. Because if it's indeed a great opportunity, and we believe it's a great opportunity, and we can leverage it to the benefit of the school system and the city as a whole, we're going to have to take some action. We can't, to Ms. Doyle's credit, we can't continue to just push it down the line. We're going to have to make some decisions and be focusing on those decisions, and then drive deeply there. So knowing that we are moving towards some votes and that we were going to make some decisions, I didn't feel it was appropriate to just allow this stuff to sit out there without bringing it to the board for input and thought, so they could tie into whatever actions we may take over the next 30 days. So I mentioned that to Dr. Boone last night, because my hope was that enough of the background work would have been done that we could talk about it today anyway. But my feeling is, if we don't have that conversation, it'll never happen.
Right.
And I don't want to lose, and I know none of us want to lose the momentum, the hard work. We don't want our partners to feel like nothing is ever going to occur. I know, Dr. Gabriel can also speak to, in our meetings with the mayor and the vice mayor and the manager, CTE remains an important piece, as well as all these conversations that we've been driving around funding formula and base funding and asking for what we need and all those things. So I just thought it was important to just bring that out today and just do it publicly, and for us to throw that into whatever conversations we may have as we move forward. Because if we do decide to go down that particular path, then as a board, we would have to give some direction to the administration in that regard. If we decide that we aren't going to go down that path, then we've already heard from Dr. Boone where they are. But if we're going to send the administration and the staff to spend even more time and effort on this work, I just felt like it was important to just put that out, open it on the table for input and discussion. So that's where I have it for right now. Dr. Boone, if you have anything you'd like to add to it, that's fine. Any questions, any comments? I just say let's just take some time and just kind of feel your temperature on it, so that we can figure out in our next steps what we can collectively as a governance team communicate, and what we can then factor in as our budget programmatic efforts and in the ongoing MPS redesign that we've talked about, whatever impacts are there as well.